Okay, Madam Chair, you are live.
Welcome to the Monday, December 15th, 2025 Board of Supervisors meeting. This meeting is now called to order. This meeting was originally scheduled for last Monday, December 8th, but was postponed due to weather. All required notices were issued. I'd like to note that this is Supervisor Lyons' last meeting, and we will have additional comments later when we conclude. Ms. Whitten, will you conduct roll for the board?
Supervisor Day.
Here.
Supervisor Lyons.
Here.
Supervisor McDaniel.
Here.
Chair Ayers.
Here.
And Supervisor Lewis is absent, attending the Shenandoah Planning District Commission meeting.
Thank you. An invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance will now be held. If you'd like to join us, please feel free to stand.
Dear Father, we come to you humble and grateful for the many blessings you provided this year. While the lights, trees, and decorations are all nice to look at, I pray that we all recognize the true meaning of the season. I pray that you will continue to watch over our community and our citizens in 2026, providing what is needed for each individual. It is my ask that we all find time to spend with loved ones, that we all have safe travels during this holiday season, and we find time to reflect on this past year and look forward to an even better 2026. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Changes to the agenda. Are there any recommended changes?
I have none.
Okay. To join by telephone, announcements. To join by telephone, you may dial into one of the numbers listed on the county website. Webinar ID and password are there for your convenience. Citizens wishing to simply view the meeting.
Sorry.
Excuse me?
Sorry.
Do I need to start again?
Nope.
Citizens wishing to simply view the meeting live or after the fact can do so on the Rockbridge County Board of Supervisors YouTube channel, also available on the county website. If you wish to make a citizen comment as a Zoom meeting participant, you will use raise the hand feature. You can press the raise hand button on the bottom of your Zoom window or press *9 if you are calling in by telephone. All right. Recognitions, Mr. Suter.
Yes. So our organization is defined by the folks who keep the wheels turning. And each December, the board recognizes members of our team who have accomplished employment milestones. We're incredibly fortunate to have these folks among our team and that they stick with us for so long. This year, we have 12 team members to be recognized, and we typically have trouble meshing schedules and getting everybody here after hours. Sometimes folks are either at collection centers or fire and EMS, so they can't get here. So it complicated things even more this year when we had to move the meeting. So we're going to recognize them. I don't see anybody. Well, nope, I don't think I see anybody here. But we will make sure that they get their awards. So with 5 years of service, we've got David Crawford. He's fleet technician out of Fleet Services. Also, Robert Connor at Fleet Services. Stefan Yaniak, he was going to try to be here, but he could not make it. He's our IT director. Daniel Meir, solid waste and recycling manager. And Don Smith, maintenance technician down at the courthouse, keeps the wheels turning at the courthouse. With 10 years of service, we've got Lisa Connor. She's a collection attendant. Earl Tyler is also a collection center attendant. And Steve Kingery, Fleet Services Director, 10 years of service. And but I do want to put a footnote with Steve. He worked for the county for a little while and then went to the school division and came back. He's been here 10 years since he came back. Also Heidi Hope, Human Resources Director. Her daughter had a basketball game. 15 years of service is Ruby Moore, Administrative Assistant with Fleet Services. And then we move into the big numbers. John Martin, he's a Park Maintenance Supervisor in our Parks and Rec Department. And the big one this year is Wayne Nicely, Parks and Recreation Director. He's been with us for 35 years. Mm-hmm. And in accordance with the board's policy, each team member celebrating a milestone will have a bonus in their check, and the amounts increase with each milestone. It's not a ton of money in the grand scheme of things, but it is it's a token of our appreciation to them. And I'd ask you to join me in congratulating all our dedicated employees celebrating milestones next time you see them, and we will ensure that all staff receive their certificates.
Thank you very much. And if you will please extend the board's gratitude to the employees for us. Thank you. We will now we'll now welcome citizen comments. Comments pertaining to a public hearing should be held until such a time the public hearing is heard. When your name is called, please address the board stating your first and last name and magisterial district. Please limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. There's a timer for your convenience. Is there anyone in person?
No one signed up, ma'am.
Okay, is there anyone online?
No one with a hand raised.
Okay, is there anyone that did not have a chance to sign up? And we'll move on to the approval of the November 13th, 2025 joint school board meeting minutes and the November 24th, 2025 work session and regular meeting minutes. Gentlemen, are there any questions or comments on those minutes? Not, may I have a motion? We are going to do for both of those meetings.
I'll move to approve.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
And I vote yes. County Financial Report and Appropriation Resolution. Mr. Harrison.
Yes, before you, there's actually two different resolutions this time. One is a commitment of general fund reserves, and the other is the regular appropriation resolution regarding the commitment that is committing from capital reserves in the amount of $1,250,000 with $500,000 to be used in FY26 and FY27, and $750,000 to be used in FY27 as recommended by the Finance Committee. As you recall, at the November 10th meeting, Mr. Suter informed the board that the turf field and tennis courts could potentially be swapped as part of the recreation center project. The school and the Finance Committee recommend the projects be swapped. And the school division has received a formal quote in the amount of around $1.8 million for the turf field project. Lexington City's share will be 15.76%, and the balance will be paid from the school capital escrow fund. With the appropriation resolution, the amount of bills this period is $1,250,096.75. Requesting $500,000 for the school division turf field from the general fund capital reserves. $794,541 that's for the courthouse flood event, and that comes from the insurance reimbursement that we have received. We're requesting $249,098 for the building elevator for this building. Additional funds now come from the capital reserves as well. And $124,232 for courthouse security upgrades, additional funds, again, coming from the capital reserves. And those have also been reviewed and recommended by the Finance Committee. In your packet was the draft provisional FY27 through FY31 capital improvement plan and supporting documents. It also included the schools division CIP. No action is taken at this meeting tonight, but it'll be for provisional adoption at your January 12th meeting. Final adoption is scheduled for the May 4th, 2026 meeting. I want to point out that's what's missing, though it's included in the packet, but is the courthouse CIP. County staff are still working through what projects to recommend for inclusion in the main CIP. There's some changes. Some of those projects were done as a result of, as part of the flood event. So we made some improvements there, and we just need to sit down together, administration, finance, the sheriff's office, and buildings and grounds, and prioritize some of those projects for recommendation to the board. With that said, we're still behind on reports, but as of last Friday, we're back in the black, below over $5 million surplus. Have any questions?
Gentlemen, any questions for Mr. Harrison?
Yes, there's two resolutions. So we can make one same, as long as I mention both. Yes, if you want to, in a motion, you can include both resolutions if you.
I move to approve both resolutions.
Second.
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will move on to the polling place adjustment request from the electoral board.
Could we maybe
Library.
bump the library up to, in case we,
Sure. We'll, Ms. Goyette.
I know Ms. Goyette's got to be somewhere, so we'll get her out before the public hearing.
Good evening. Thank you for your continued support of the library system and for having me here this evening. The library system serves a region of 40,000 residents, and that covers the counties, of Bath and Rockbridge, the cities of Buena Vista and Lexington, the towns of Glasgow and Goshen, and all of those little communities in between. During the past year, we put a new bookmobile on the road. This one's smaller and does not require a commercial driver's license. Our outreach manager, Bo Cunningham, was essential to the project. He was there with the vendor every step of the way, and he made sure that everything was exactly the way that we needed it to be. He retired, so we miss him. He retired on December 1st, and we have a new outreach manager, Kathleen Brookman. She was our assistant prior, so she knows the ropes and has made a nice transition. Each of our 5 locations offers notary services at no charge to the public, and staff in Lexington are also passport agents trained through the State Department. Revenue from passports for FY 2025 was $38,000, over $7,000 more than the previous fiscal year. Our 5 locations in bookmobile were visited over 128,000 times, an increase of 3%. 128,000 means we could fill Foster Stadium down the street about 12, 13 times, and maybe twice at Lane Stadium if you're thinking about tech. Questions asked of the library system were increased by 4%. Physical items checked out actually dropped by 5%. This is not surprising. Electronics rule the world, so that increased actually by 7%, the downloads from our website. In-house use of materials increased by 8%. Public use of library meeting rooms, this is public use, not library programs or partnerships. That use increased by 13%, and use of public computers increased by 4%. These statistics are helpful, but as you know, that doesn't really show the value that we provide to our communities. Some of that value includes our technology coordinator, Shane Clark, providing one-on-one assistance. He calls it the Tech Power Hour. You can come in with your device and your problems, and he will sit down with you one-on-one and solve them. He is very patient. A new catalog system via our website makes it much easier for patrons to navigate and find what they need. We can also float collections, which makes every library a little fresher for the patrons. Lockers installed at Fairfield Rescue Squad are doing really well. Patrons in the north side of the county have some way to pick up and drop off books. Outreach programs for seniors in area rehab centers and nursing homes have increased as well. Family movie nights with popcorn. We also have after-school clubs and teen author workshops, a closed closet and giving tree at Goshen Library, a writing group for adults interested in sharing their work at Glasgow Library, kindergarten readiness kits for families with a kindergartner at home at free of charge, Ancestry.com, the library edition available for use inside the libraries, the local history center at Glasgow Library, where we continue to build a central location for important local historical documents, genealogy research and programs, Of course, you all know about preschool off the bus in Goshen and Glasgow libraries. And finally, updated restrooms in Lexington are underway. Thank you. What questions do you have for me?
You have books available at the Fairfield Post Office.
You can request them and we will give you a code, and there's a locker where you can pick it up. You can also bring your book back
No,
there,
at the-
drop
at
it
the
off.
Post office.
We do have books in post office, but they're just free. You don't have to check those out.
So they don't have to be returned.
No. No. We do that with our donations and what we withdraw from the collections. We're able to stock those locations.
Thank you. Anything else, gentlemen?
Is your catalog and databases available online?
Yes. So the databases and the catalog are via the website.
And you need to have a library card to access them?
You do, but we'll get you set up real easily. We have an online form, and then we just ask that you come in at some point and show us your ID, and you're on your way in a couple seconds.
Nice. Anything else?
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And we will move back to polling place adjustment requests from the electoral board. Mr. Suter.
Yes, the electoral board, who's all present this evening, they approached staff with a request for the board to consider consolidation of some precincts to accomplish two main objectives. The first one is to increase voter accessibility, and the second one is to reduce the cost of elections. And I'd like to point out up front that this is not a request for redistricting. It's rather a consolidation of polling places and a shift of some of the current locations to our schools. The last redistricting the board did was in 2022 as required by the Commonwealth to ensure a balance of populations in each of the 5 districts. A consideration in any redistricting process is the availability of polling places for each precinct. And historically, polling places were held in schools. However, I believe it was in the 2011 redistricting, they were moved out of schools due to security concerns, mixing folks at polling places with students during school hours. Without schools as a resource, finding suitable polling places in some precincts is very challenging, particularly with regard to places that have ADA compliance. Recently, through discussion with the electoral board, the school division has resolved to close on election days, alleviating the security concerns while also eliminating other barriers such as ADA compliance issues. And all the schools are obviously ADA compliant. Additionally, combining precincts would reduce the amount of resources required to conduct elections, fewer poll workers, rental costs, and expensive electronic equipment such as poll books would be required. And we are expecting a request soon to replace some of the election equipment. And this proposal would reduce those costs. And just briefly, I'm going to share my screen here. Hopefully. It says I am, okay. So you'll see this is color coded. And so the thought is, and I'll show you the map in a second, show you a map, but to combine Bensalem and the airport, and you see here their current polling locations. And now this is something to discuss here, that, you know, the name of the proposed precinct, that would have to be determined by the board. But the polling location would be Maury River Middle. And in these blue, you see this, these are simply changes that opening up the schools allows us to move from, for example, VOTEC from Life Chapel to Rockbridge County High School. And then down here, we have another combination, Natural Bridge Station and Falling Springs. They currently vote at Natural Bridge Christian and Natural Bridge Firehouse. And the proposal is that they shift, both of those shift to Natural Bridge Elementary. The next one color coded here is Fairfield and Vesuvius, currently voting at South River Fire Department and the Vesuvius Community Center. And they would then vote at Fairfield Elementary. The Mountain View shift from Nariah Baptist Community Church, which we've had ADA compliance issues with, would shift then with the opening of the schools to Mountain View Elementary. And then finally, I believe that's finally, Rockbridge Bass and Rockbridge, currently Rockbridge Bass Firehouse and Fairfield Rescue Squad, shift both of those to Fairfield Rescue Squad. And I'm going to stop sharing. Has anybody got questions about that before I show the map?
No.
All right. And now I'm going to change and show the map. Okay. So this is just a graphic representation of what I just explained. So you've got Fairfield Elementary, you've got Fairfield and Vesuvius precincts that would shift to Fairfield Elementary. And Fairfield Rescue would be Rockbridge Bass and Rockbridge. And you will note that this is outside of the actual district, but that is allowable. I think it's within 1 mile of the district. The next one would be, this is a simple shift. Rockbridge County High School would become the new polling place for Votech and Meadowview. So these two right here would vote. They can combine those in there. Then the next one would be Mountain View Elementary School for the Mountain View. That was at Nariah Church. The next one is Maury River Middle. That's Airport and Ben Salem. And then finally, down here, Natural Bridge Station and Falling Spring voting at Natural Bridge Elementary School. And commend Hank Leach for putting all these maps together and things and to make this a little more plain. The black outline is, of course, what the new district would be. So again, this is a proposal from the electoral board, but decisions on precincts and polling places rest squarely with the Board of Supervisors. Should the board be willing to consider the implementation of all or part of this proposal, there is a specific process and there's 2 options under the Code of Virginia. And I'll let Mr. Dryden go over those. They are in your package.
So anytime there's a movement or consolidation or movement of a polling place under Virginia state law, that's considered a covered transaction. Covered transactions are required to receive pre-clearance before any locality can make an action to do so. And there's 2 ways that pre-clearances take place. One is the way that whereby the locality will make a public notice 45 days in advance of 45 days in advance of the close of a public comment period. And then there has to be a 30-day public comment period. And at the close of that public comment period, then the locality would be able to pass an ordinance to accept the changes if they were going to do so. And then they would need to make there'd have to be a notification then to all citizens who are affected by this, all voters who are affected by this, by receiving direct mailings by registered mail of notification of change and a few other ways of notifying. So that's option number 1. Option number 2 would be to go to the Attorney General's office and ask to be relieved of the obligation to, and also I'm sorry to forget, I forgot to say, there also needs to be a public hearing, which is held during the citizen comment period. So we can go the alternative to that. We could go to the Attorney General and explain why this does not affect any minority classes or other protected classes and why it's needed, and seek to receive an opinion by the Attorney General saying that we do not need to go through the public notification process. Obviously, there might be, the first one might have more political reasons why it might be more beneficial to do so, to advertise, but that's a decision for the board to make, is to those 2 options.
And should the board wish to move forward, our recommended process would be the option A, direct staff to return to the board with a draft ordinance, which would reset and restate the boundaries of the newly combined precincts. Consider the changes, and if support, direct staff to advertise in accordance with code, including everything that John just mentioned, and including a public hearing during that period. And 30 days after the public comment period, closes, proceed with a vote on the ordinance. And again, I've included all the materials in your package, including the cost savings estimate.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the electoral board? Any other comments? Yes, sir. Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you very much for considering this proposal. Can I first introduce some folks that are with me here?
Absolutely.
My name is John Brandt. I'm the vice chair of the electoral board. The chair is Whitney, and the secretary is Richard. And we also have here tonight, we have our registrar and the assistant registrar. Registrar is Sheila, and Dee Dee is also here with us. So we're equipped to answer any questions that you have about this whole process. We've been over the last few months looking at some issues that we felt needed to be addressed. I think it was kicked off with the whole issue as Mr. Suter had highlighted, was voter accessibility. And there were two particular polling locations that we were very concerned about. One was at the Norai Baptist location, and the other one was in Vesuvius. And so there was some issues in terms of wheelchair accessibility, just general access into the building itself. And we felt that we had to do something about that. And as we reviewed the code, the regulations, in one of the sections, it specifically says that polling locations should be located in a public building where practical. So our current situation is that we have 9 polling locations that are in what I would consider public facilities, either schools or fire stations or rescue squads, that type of situation. And we have 8 that are in non-public, either at churches, community centers, or that type of thing. So our desire was to look at public options, because public options have already dealt with the ADA issues. And so we sought to do that. And this proposal would reduce the 9-8 split, 9 public, 8 non-public, to, and that's a total of 17 polling locations, to a 13 polling location proposal that would have 12 public locations and just 1 non-public location, and that would be the Palmer Community Center. So that is what this proposal has done, but also we wanted to look at the cost. We were going to be proposing a budget in the not too distant future for the next fiscal year. And in doing so, our machines are getting close to needing to be replaced, and we were planning on actually making that proposal next year. We currently have a significant amount of equipment distributed across the 17 precincts. And what we thought is this is the appropriate time, the perfect time for us to kind of look at this from a economic or a cost savings perspective. And so our proposal will actually reduce the equipment cost by over $50,000. So what we propose in our budget next year, if this is approved, would be over $50,000 less. And our personnel costs across these 4 precincts that we're expecting to consolidate with your approval would be $5,000 per election in personnel cost. And of course, we've been averaging about 2 elections a year, and sometimes we've had 3. We may end up with 3 this year, with the referendum as well as a primary and the general election. And so that would be a total of, as I said, $5,000 of savings per election per year. And then the rental costs are pretty insignificant, but we also would be able to eliminate some of the rental costs associated with it. So this is why we're coming forward today at this proposal. The timing of this, we wanted to seek the largest period of time before the next general election, so that we can go through all of the appropriate processes that have to be done, as was outlined by Mr. Suter and Mr. Dryden. And so we strongly recommend that you consider this for approval to move on to the next stage of the public process. And we're welcome to answer any questions that you might have. And we do have some backup material regarding the costs and regarding, how many people would be voting and what in each of the new precincts. If you need that, I could have it with me today and I could provide that to you if you needed that information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I add that he wasn't kidding. We met the morning after the election in November. They requested a meeting, and so I really appreciate that, and I appreciate how the electoral board and Sheila and Bibi have worked on this diligently. They made
Thank you
it
very much.
easy for me to propose.
All right. So, gentlemen, do you have any other questions for the electoral board or Mr. Suter?
I'll make a motion that we move forward with option A. Second.
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
And I vote yes. I'm going to, Chief Ramsey, you're 2, 3 for the rabies clinic. I'm going to go ahead and put you up because I know you have many things to do and I think you will not take long.
Madam Chair, members of the board, first I'd like to thank Mr. Lyons for his support over the last several years. I really appreciate that, sir, and wish you Merry Christmas, and I know it'll be a Happy New Year for you probably. But no, I come before you tonight as we do have done in the past. It's a little bit different this year. We're trying to be ahead of the game and not kind of overlook the rabies clinics. So we know that it is in state code, as mentioned in the board report, that the Board of Supervisors have to approve our rabies clinics that we have throughout the year. We're scheduled to have 4 coming up again, starting with South River Fire Department and Rafine Fire Department in January sometime. They're still working with the veterinarians to get a date, and then Goshen Fire Department follows right after that, and then sometime in February, early March, Glasgow Life Saving Crew will have theirs. So I will make sure that, as a request of Ms. Ayers, as we did last year, to make sure we have a number to report back once the rabies clinics are completed for a number that animals actually came through the clinics. But for that, we just need your approval to move forward with those clinics.
Okay.
Move that we approve it.
Okay. Is there a second? Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will move back to our public hearing. We have the,
Did you guys want my seat?
yes. Whenever you're ready, go right to it.
Yes. Bark Electric Cooperative, P.O. Box 246, Millboro, Virginia, has made an application to amend conditions associated with a previously approved special exception permit for a public utility, office complex, equipment yard, and solar facility in the agricultural and general uses A2 zoning district. The property is identified as 1972 Big Spring Drive, Lexington, Virginia, and is further identified as tax map number 47-A-50, 15.24 acres per tax records. The property is located on the northeast side of the intersection of West Midland Trail, Route 60, and Fredericksburg Road, Route 60. The property is owned by Bark Electric Cooperative. Per section 302.164 of the County of Rockbridge Land Development Regulations, public utilities are defined as buildings, structures, and facilities such as office complexes and equipment yards, power plants, substations, and major transmission lines, data centers, water and wastewater transmission lines, water and wastewater treatment plants, pumping stations, tanks, wells, and or such similar operations publicly or privately owned, furnishing electricity, gas, rail transport, communications, water and sewer, or related services to the general public. Per section 603.03-9 of the regulations, public utilities are used by special exception in the A2 zoning district. The special exception permit to develop a public utility was approved by the Board of Supervisors on May 26, 2015. An amended SEP was approved by the Board of Supervisors on April 14, 2025. The pending application is to amend conditions associated with the April 14, 2025 special exception permit to allow for construction of a building and to remove the period of validity associated with the April 14, 2025 special exception permit. The Planning Commission held its public hearing on November 12, 2025. There were 7 public comments received. The Planning Commission recommended approval of the application with the following conditions, and the conditions are in the board packet.
Would you like to come speak? Is that all you had, Mr. Wetmore? Is that all you?
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As the Board of Supervisors know, we had presented this in April of this year, and there were some things that weren't quite complete in our application to the satisfaction. And so what we ended up doing is we consulted with local professionals to come up with a more a plan that's more shovel ready for us to proceed with that, put in the application, put it in there. And as the board may realize that we're looking to be able to put a lot of our material inside undercover, our equipment, any vehicles that right now might be in our, what we call the lay down yard at Highland Bell. And so we have put the application back in for your consideration.
Thank you.
So you have a narrative included with that just goes over the way that Bark heard you in the spring and has addressed the concerns that were expressed by Planning Commission in different meetings. So they heard you and they've responded with some significant changes to make it more palatable. And you have the plan in front of you. I have it in front of me. So if you have any questions about the plan, it should be this time.
The intent is to have everything undercover.
We can't get 100% of everything in the yard under. For example, things like our poles, they would not be able to easily go inside of a warehouse. But the remainder of the material that is presently out there, the cable reels and all the other miscellaneous smaller items, that the intent is to put them under there. From time to time, there may be items that still are temporarily out in the lay down yard area. But our desire is to put everything undercover because that will make it last longer for us and for our members.
Okay. Gentlemen, do you have any other questions for Bart? If not, I will.
So the vehicles that are out there now, are they gonna be moved inside? Or are they gonna be relocated somewhere?
Yes, sir. They would be moved inside.
So I think there's
The ones that are down in the lay down yard now, if you go up to Highland Bell, we do have vehicles that are up there as well.
right,
Some may go inside there, others may stay up on the top there.
right, but there won't be any park. Like
Should not be
outside
any
of the loading
parking
yard.
out in the lay down yard of equipment. That's, like I said, we want to get everything undercover.
All right.
We have hydraulic equipment that it just, the natural
Right.
forces wreak havoc on it.
Timeline,
Timeline right now in the current permit application is 4 years to be complete with the warehouse.
Okay, and is there any chance of it being completed in less than 4 years?
It would be extremely challenging for us to do that due to just the capital budget restraints that we presently have. The way BARC operates is on a 4-year construction work plan, which was generated in 2024, and then now we're seeking our funding approval that'll push us through for the next 4 years. And this was not part of it, as this was a project that came up after we started our construction work plan.
So it would be in the 2028,
It would
the
basically
2032, is that what you're saying?
it would be the first priority in the next work plan.
Which would be in 2028?
That would be 2028 would be the creation of the work plan. So yeah, it'd be a 2029 project. Look at that, 4 years from today.
Well, it has to be complete within 4 years.
Correct.
So if we approve it tonight, you could,
Should be complete
awful
by
tight.
December 15th, 2029.
okay. I applaud everything you've done. And it's gonna make a world of difference because it won't look like an industrial site. But I'd applaud it more if it could be done quicker, that's all, because it would be better for everyone.
Before I open the public, is there any other questions for? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
This time I will open the public hearing. For those of speaking, please remember to address the board when called, stating your first and last name and magisterial district for the record. Is there anyone signed up to speak?
Yes, Madam Chair. Steve Hart from the Cars Creek District.
Steve Hart, Cars Creek. You've heard all of this before, but I've said it more times than you've heard it because I think Buddy and I are the only original players in this drama. Everything I've said and will say tonight, I believe is consistent with the purposes of planning and zoning. First, I'll tell you the same thing I told you 10 years ago. I told the board 10 years ago, tell me what's last. If I know what's last, I can plan. Is what is being proposed tonight last? Because that's what I need to know. All of us in that area bought property in an agricultural zone, and we're doing agricultural related businesses. And both Mr. Powers and I are doing business that counts on the culture part of the agriculture. It's got to look and smell. Yeah, it smells like agriculture. And if we seem frustrated sometimes, maybe it's because we don't feel like that's been into account. We want BARC to be successful, but we want to be successful as well. And you didn't start the timer. In John Wayne's great movie, The Comancheros, he's got a great quote. Words are what men live by. Words they say and mean. We said this was going to be a temporary use. And it's not. We said there were going to be no expansions, and it's not. And if we'd have made this decision 10 years ago, and anybody that knows anything about how plans and things operate, this was anticipatable 10 years ago. If we'd have done that, my trees would be 10 years taller right now, because I have to respond to what I'm being told, and I've got a limited amount of money, so I have to take things on face value. And when it was said temporary, I made decisions based on temporary. Now, Mr. Powers actually has a very good suggestion. He can't be here tonight. And again, the continuous running of 2-year extensions kind of isn't fair to the rest of us because we have to stay on top of all of this. He's busy tonight, but I believe he has emailed you a suggestion. It's a good one. And I actually think that his suggestion, given everything that's happened in the past 10 years, is the right way to go forward. So please take a look at that. Please find a way to implement it. And finally, because I'm going to be there till I'm dead, and then I'm going to be there because I'm putting a cemetery on the farm. This is not about how BARC operates. This is a land use decision. This is a should we have a public utility in an ag area? Because BARC can sell this tomorrow. And as I have repeatedly been told, correct me if I'm wrong, but exceptions go with the land. So they could sell this to Dominion and then we have a new neighbor. And that's really been our concern. is this an appropriate use? Does it integrate with what the rest of us are trying to do? And I think we need to find a way to do that where everybody's needs are considered, because that's what the public interest standard really is. It says we're supposed to have for a special exception. I think I made it.
That is everyone that's signed up.
Is there anyone online?
Yes, we have two hand raised. One is, first one at the top is Bill Russell.
Good
Mr.
evening.
Russell, can you hear us?
Good evening, Madam Chairman and members of the board and staff and
Mr.
Bart.
Russell, we have a volume problem.
Okay,
I think I've got it as loud as it can go.
can you hear me?
Not well.
All right. Let me test something here.
We're trying to make some adjustments here. If you just hold for just a minute.
Okay,
There
Oh,
we go.
much better.
There we go. Now it works.
all right. Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the Board of Supervisors and BARC and staff. I've heard some of this before. I agree with Mr. Hart's comments. I also I have a feeling that BARC has been placed in the position they've been placed in by the county accommodating some requests. And part of what I'm going to say is about the process. I said this before. One, continued reliance on major projects moving forward with no zoning considerations and only special exceptions with conditions is creating a lot of uncertainty in the county, a lot of uncertainty among individual landowners in particular, and most of these problems with special conditions involve land. And I for one, and I think you'll do what's right by the county with this permit request. And I support BARC. We need BARC. BARC needs us. We're the members and the areas that are served by BARC. But the county needs a better planning process in general, and particularly with BARC and Dominion, as to what their long-range needs will be, and they will be different, and they will be primarily industrial. And the ability for people to plan when you're always operating outside of a zoning process and always by special exception is something the courts have addressed, and specifically in the area of when does the continued use of special exceptions become spot zoning. And I think we're fast approaching that in this county, and I think the county needs to look very seriously at that. And you can expect that I will be coming back to raise that issue more often than not. So thank you all. Merry Christmas to all of you.
Thank you, Mr. Russell.
Okay, we have one more. Trip Almy.
Mr. Almy?
Good evening.
Okay.
Hi, Buddy Powers asked me if I could read his letter this evening since he's unable to attend due to a prior commitment.
Please proceed.
Great. Let me pull up his letter real quick.
For the record, both of you are in Cars Creek, correct?
Correct. Sorry. Trip Elmy, Cars Creek, Buddy Powers, 4 Buddy Powers in Cars Creek. Okay, so Buddy has 3 points in his letter. For zoning and use, Bark as a utility provider, employer is great for Rockbridge County. That's not the question today. Frankly, the conversation at the PC and BS meetings historically seems to fall back to a sort of defense of Bark's development of Highland Bell because of the good they do elsewhere. Bark is great. That is not what's in question. This is a zoning question. Ask yourselves, is yet another further development of Highland Bell by Bark appropriate given the initial purview of their use of this property and the surrounding uses around Highland Bell? Look at their history of many temporary use extensions of a laydown yard. Look at Bark's violation of their initial site plan at the property. Look at Bark's violation of the private easement they have with me, Buddy. The honest conclusion that I think Bark's leadership would agree with this is Bark is great at providing utilities to Rockbridge County, but their location at and use of Highland Bell as it pertains to Rockbridge County zoning is at best an afterthought. In other words, they'll do what they need to provide utilities to the county, great, but they've not followed or cared about the effects of the development of Highland Bell in a non-commercial area. Again, consider whether you can trust Bark to develop this property as they say, and this be it for even the near future. Second point is a request. I would request that the county not approve this proposed warehouse, commercial entrance, and expanded site plan without a proffer from Bark that this will be their final revision for the next 25 years. While it's a remediation from the previously proposed site plan that the board denied, this is yet another incremental step forward, and if history is any indication, Bark will continue to realize new needs and expand their use here. Third, the need for clarity and long-term concerns. Outside looking in, Bark's leadership today is phenomenal. I wish Bill and Chris could be at Bark for another 50 years. Sadly for us, they will at some point retire. Now, remember, Highland Bell is in Dominion service territory. What if the next round of Bark leadership is approached by Dominion and sells Highland Bell, another utility that could assume all the uses Bark currently has, because the profit is just too good to say no? And we've already given Bark approval for a vague site plan. So my request here is please get very specific clarity on these issues if any approval is considered. Limiting all lighting outside to switch only with no timers, no motion sensors, reforestation around the entire circumference of the property, 3 or more rows of large growth conifers like green giant arborvitae or the Leland cypress, and Bark must proffer to limit their expansion of this site plan for the next 25 years. Thank you for considering this at the 11th hour and for your service on the board. Sincerely, Buddy Powers.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
No one with a hand raised.
Is there anyone else out there that would like to speak that didn't sign up? If not, I will now close the public hearing.
And it was mentioned that that letter was sent to the board. I don't think we've received it.
I did not.
We did not receive it.
I did not receive it. So that
No. I talked with Mr. Powers around 3:45 or so, and he indicated he was writing it, but we did not receive it. So he sent it directly to Mr. Allman.
Discussion.
The plans already, they have switch lighting already in the plans,
Switch lighting or
on and off the lights.
it was condition number 7 that was it was discussed and then forwarded by the planning commission. Any outdoor lighting shall meet the requirements of section 1303 lighting ordinance. All lighting associated with the laydown yard shall be on a toggle/timer.
Does that mean a switch and a timer, or a switch?
Would you like
Go
to
ahead.
address this?
The way I understood that was it would be on a timer only that would engage it on. So think of it like an old kitchen timer, that kind of concept with the light, so that Motion, we requested not to be on motion sensing because there is a lot of animal activity in the area. And so they would be coming on and off all night. And to get better control and still have the ability to turn off and on almost immediately, we said we'd prefer to be able to toggle it and just have a timer. So if someone didn't, you know, they're out, the reason they're out there that time of night is because they're going to turn someone's power back on. Sometimes they won't remember, hey, well, I better turn that off before I go. So to have it on a toggle timer.
And what are the conditions of the perimeter plantings? Are they in good shape now, or is there a concern about not being enough of it, or?
As far as the landscape buffer,
Right.
Yes, please.
If the plans that Mr. Orson would have submitted can show that I think it's going to be at least a double row of those type of conifer trees. The one closest to the entrance of the Highlandville facility is actually, we're going to put a third row behind the two existing front row. I'm not a tree person, so I couldn't tell you what type those are existing, but we are going with the giant green arborvitaes that'll be behind the other existing rows that we have there. So minimum at least 2 rows of
But
trees.
what's the condition of the existing ones that we have out there already?
If you look at the temporary entrance to the laydown yard on Big Spring Drive to the left, there's 2 rows that was required. To the right, there's 2 rows that are required where they are existing are. And behind the city collection facility, there's a single row, a couple of them that kind of blocks where the proposed extra driveway would be. And then
But are they in pretty good shape?
they're growing. The ones in the very front entrance, there are some of them that they appear to have some form of disease that we probably will have to replace, but they've been planted and they are growing.
Okay. I hate to keep making you get up, but as I'm listening to different things. So we're out to 2029. If this is approved tonight, we're in December 2029.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any plans in mind beyond 2029 right now, or?
Not at all.
Do you foresee any changes in the in the next 10, 15 years? Or?
Short of a major disruptive technology, nothing that I can see on the horizon, but I couldn't tell you what's going to happen 25 years from now.
That's right. No, none of us can.
But no, this represents the plans that we have foreseen that we would need for the long term.
Okay.
Any other questions? Comments?
Maybe for the county attorney, I know we've talked in other things. Can you add term limits to, let's say, as long as Bark is there, these conditions apply, but if they were to be bought out, the new people would have to come back?
No, we can't do that. We could do a term saying it's good for 5, 10 years. That's allowable in my interpretation of how the law has been clarified, but it does run with the land. So you can give a term, you can give, other than that, no, if we say like in the event of it being sold, I would be uncomfortable with that. I think we've discussed that before and looked at the possibility of it. But I think the conservative way to look at it is that we have 2 options. One is that we just grant it and it runs with the land in perpetuity. Or number 2, we put a time limit on it and say that this is good for 10 years, which would not normally be for a large building type of thing, but for a particular type of actions that you do there. But those are the 2 options, which are, in my view, the law clearly allows. I I think I've shared with the board before, I think there might be an argument that we could do a change of ownership, but I don't think that's the prevailing view of most areas. And so if we did that, I think we'd be asking the court to decide for us at some point whether that's correct or not.
And if they wanted to do something, if they wanted to expand more, do they have to come back and get?
It would have to come back, yeah.
Right.
The special exception is very clear. It
Right.
has to be what the plan was presented. They can't do anything beyond that plan.
I was just going to say, one way of keeping Bark here is to support Bark here. And for me, Bark is an amazing company, and we are so very fortunate to have them in our community. And I'll just share one. I was at a dinner party or small gathering. 20 minutes in, someone realized there was no internet. Before the dinner was over, that internet was fixed. It was a Saturday night. And it wasn't Park's fault, it was a mouse. So I'm just when you say great service, this is what seems to be a good location. Obviously, we have been very sensitive to the people around it and what they need. And I'm appreciative that Bark has come back with plans that reflect that. And I just want to say, and we'll keep doing that. And if we do end up with a new owner, we'll deal with it with this. And that is special exception. That is one thing they're very good at, is that we can deal with that going forward.
Madam Chair, I'll just add that I was supportive of the original plan that came before the board. I'm supportive of this plan. Bark went back, they listened to the citizens, they listened to the comments, they made changes. I appreciate them bringing back. Right now, you have all of the apparatus and equipment and everything just out in full view. This puts it under a barn. I don't live in that area, but I've been through it many times. There are plenty of other barns up and down the road there. I feel like it'd fit right in, and I appreciate Bark bringing it back to us.
Any other comments? Is there a motion?
Well, I'll make one more comment, since this is my last opportunity to make a comment. And you might not think it's a good one, but I think companies are about the people that run them, and we're very fortunate with the people running Bark right now. It's always been a problem, like we've heard, they're not going to be there forever. So I'd just like to get your opinion to approve this with a 25-year term, because they may be still working in 25 years, but I would think they'll be retired. And this way, if the new management comes in 25 years and aren't as good and not treating the county citizens the way they're supposed to, then they just have to come back through the process again. But it's not a forever with the land thing. I think, and not just Bark, I think any of these special exemptions, we ought to start putting time limits on it. And I think 25-year time limit, it's good for, a building. It would need to be probably renovated in 25 years. And, I think it's not going to hurt my feelings if you don't, but I think it's as we're just granting too many and they're just going on forever. And I think that might be a good thing to do.
Well, after the 25 years, then do they have to come in and reapply for the permit? So if we deny it, do they have to dismantle the building?
I would think they would.
I guess I understand the worry. I think that's why we have these these limits right here in this special exception. And if it's sold, it would go with that. If we have somehow we end up with poor leadership, which don't expect that, we still have this to fall back on. Correct? I mean, this is, Mr. Dryden, am I not right? This is what holds whoever is leading this company or whatever company, this is what they abide by regardless.
Yeah, if it runs with the land, which it would, that means whoever the owner is, they have to abide by what the special exception terms are. And if they violate any of those, there's a process to get them to rectify it, or we can then, the board then has the right then to remove the special exception. That's the process of how it's done. And just to keep one thing in mind on the 25 years, the special exception does apply to all activities that they have going on there, including the solar fields. And so if we put 25 years, I don't believe we are allowed to do it piecemeal. It would have to be for the whole thing.
You say it have to be for the whole.
Yeah, because the
We've
special,
already approved the solar field.
right. But every time they come for a special exception amendment, you have the right to change your conditions, but it's going to apply to everything. So the special exception, which they currently have, is for everything, all the activities that are going on there. They're required to have a special exception for the solar fields, this new building, some of the other things there are being done by special exception. And so if we put a 25-year limit, it would be for the whole thing. We can't just put just on the building part. It'd have to be for all activities for which this special exception applies, which is everything they're doing there. So that's just one thing to keep in mind on that. Otherwise,
I was just asking what y'all thought.
Hey, I'm not opposed to what you suggested right now, but if you're gonna do it for one, you have to do them for every one, right?
Well, that's what I'm thinking, moving
Yeah,
forward,
yeah.
that's what I'm suggesting, that every special use has a time limit, not necessarily 25, and some,
So you can
Might be
vary
less.
from project to project, the time limitation?
I think you could.
I think this is a significant investment and I would expect the building to last longer than the 25 years.
Well, you can make it 50. I mean, I'm just saying that it shouldn't be forever. That's all.
Well, we've approved in the past where, and I question that, and it goes with the land. So the next owner comes in can continue, which, yeah, I'd rather be for that particular person or landowner. And the next landowner, if somebody buys it, they have to come in and reapply. So, and who's to say what the board 25 years from now might be thinking of what's going on, but yeah, I'm not totally opposed to your ideal, Mr. Max.
Well, I think I am in, no offense, Mr.
No,
Lyon.
no offense.
This is your
I'm
last
just
meeting.
having a discussion.
But in terms of planning, speaking of planning, I think that a company like this and the investment putting into it, a 25-year period doesn't seem sufficient. And for me, this is just for me.
I think it's kind of like when, your neighbor builds something, builds a house or whatever, looks nice the first couple of years, but who knows what it may look like in 25 years and you can't do a thing about it. It's the same thing. So I don't necessarily, I understand the thought process. I don't know that I necessarily agree with it, given all the special exception permits that we do throughout the county. And I do agree with Mr. Day in that if you start doing it for one, you pretty much have set the precedence that you were doing for everything moving forward. And I don't know that I'm ready to commit to it.
Well, so long as you keep it in mind as you move forward.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we approve as presented.
Is there a second?
A second.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you. Now we'll move back to 9, I believe. Mr. Suter, don't let me leave
I
anything
think
out.
you're right on target.
All right. Members of the Blue Ridge Resource Authority are Mr. Day, Mr. Lyons, Mr. McDaniel, Mr. Truxell, and myself. All members are willing to be reappointed for 2026, except Mr. Lyons, whose term will expire at the end of 2025, at which time Steve Hart will become the Carrs Creek Supervisor. Mr. Hart has advised that he would like to serve on the BRRA for 2026 in place of Mr. Lyons. Is there a motion and a second to appoint Mr. Day, Mr. McDaniel, Mr. Truxell, Mr. Hart, and myself to serve on the BRRA for 2026?
So move.
Is there a second?
I'll say.
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Mr. Day? Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Believe. Comments
Monthly staff report.
or on staff reports? Is there a motion to accept?
Move to accept.
Second.
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
And I vote yes. And comments from the board. Let's see, given that our schedule does not include a second meeting in December, our next regular meeting will be January 12th. And I, for one, and I know others will say other things, but I would like to thank Mr. Lyons for being an incredible leader and an incredible mentor for person that came on this board. It was very important to me, and I have really enjoyed working with you.
I'll move to adjourn.
Well, I'm pretty sure other people wanted to say a few things.
Oh.
We'll turn this into a roast. Yeah, when I came on, the Lyons was already on the board, and I looked at him and his opinions highly and appreciate them, and I think he's done a great job, and I appreciate the service, Dan.
Thank you.
And we'll miss you not being here.
I echo the thoughts already mentioned that, I appreciate your leadership, your service to the community. I believe every topic that we took under consideration, you gave ample thought and consideration to, not only for what you thought, but the people who would come and speak and voice their opinions. And you've been a great asset to all of us here and to our board and to our administration and to our county. And I really appreciate it. And, 8 years on here, I'm not sure how that compared to your educational background, but I'm sure they were both time consuming and
Lots of learning in each.
but we certainly appreciate all that you've done for the Rockbridge County community.
Madam Chair, may I say something too?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I'm going to join in. I'd like to thank Dr. Lyons for all your service and particularly your support of we started this meeting with our team and your support of our team and the good decisions that were made in that regard and your encouragement of our folks. This whole board is great about that. I really do appreciate it, and it is vitally important. And I just wanted to note that we will have a resolution for you in January. So we're going to try to drag you back to one more meeting, although hopefully it will only be for 5 or 10 minutes for you, and then you can skip. But we will have a resolution expressing, the board's resolution expressing appreciation, recognition of your 8 years of dedicated service.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, is all right if I add to that?
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Pile
And this-
on.
The reason being is Dr. Lyons has crossed the Dryden family, so I'm going to give just on behalf of the Dryden family, my wife started her teaching career at high school when Dr. Lyons was vice principal there. Two of my daughters were at Waddell at the time, you're their superintendent for the Lexington schools, and my son was at Lilburn Down at that time. And they benefited from the high excellence that was in the Lexington School District at the time that you were the superintendent. So we definitely benefit from that. And then I had the opportunity then to cross your path again to be able to be the county attorney for the past 2 years for your last 2 years service here. So on behalf of my family, we thank you for your public service. It's really has made a difference for us here and for the whole community. Thank you very much.
No.
Move to adjourn.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Lyons,
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel,
Yes.
Mr. Day,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Should have made me feel-